I mean, it was a real conversation, and that's something that we wanted to include in the documentary. Like, we have a couple fights in this movie. Like, we wanted to include it all, just because, like, what couple doesn't have these struggles? But we have different struggles.
On stage, sometimes there are thoughts that I've heard for the first time.
Or are you telling me that you have a problem with me saying something on stage? My stand-up is not more important to me than our marriage. We just need to get through this together.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Expecting Amy, oh my gosh, girl, you show it all. I watched 3 hours. I feel like I know you. I watched all 3 episodes.
Oh, good. Thank you for watching it.
But why did you want to showcase your journey going into motherhood?
Well, honestly, I think it's the same reason I wanted to partner with Tampax, which is like because I don't have like something's wrong with me where I don't have the thing that I want to like, make myself look perfect or whatever. Like I feel like people relate to me, and I want to be as open as possible so that I can help women, feel better about themselves, because we're all going through, we all get our periods. We all like all this stuff that we're not supposed to talk about. And pregnancy, we're supposed to make it look easy, and I just like really reject that. So I wanted people to, hopefully feel better and educate other women about what might happen if they get pregnant.
Right. Well, you definitely do just that. And who would have known that? I mean, we definitely saw a glimpse on your Instagram about you being sick throughout your pregnancy.
Yeah.
Honey, you showcase it all in this documentary. And I love the way that you and Chris are basically, self-filming the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then we also see aspects of it that, Gene had quite the scare. He had a kidney scare. So how is little Gene doing now in his kidneys?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Well, one of the hardest moments I think of my whole pregnancy was when the doctor asked us to turn the camera off, and that's every mother and parent's worst nightmare, is finding out that something's wrong. Luckily, and the whole time they thought something's wrong with his kidneys, but there's that scene in the hospital after where they do an ultrasound. They just go, his kidneys are fine. And we were like, what? That didn't even seem like a possibility. So,
Right.
Thank you for asking. But yeah, he's totally healthy, and we're like, so grateful.
Sir, it's my shoe.
Bye.
You guys have created the cutest kid. I mean, I just
you.
eat him up. You just look at these pictures and videos that y'all post, and him reading the reviews from Expecting Amy. He was very just like super into it. And I was like, dang,
He really mimics his dad. Yeah, I mean, people say like they're watching, they'll do what you do, and his dad sits across from him and reads the paper when he's eating, and so he reads the paper. What can you say?
How are you feeling?
My goal is to never complain about being a parent.
That's insane.
Oh, I love seeing the beautiful bond between you and Chris, because
Thank you.
it's something that's so just, it's beautifully displayed in Expecting Amy in the documentary series. And of course, you guys face some tough conversations as a couple, especially when it comes to the content in your stand-up act. So how did you getting on to the same page with your husband about including him in some of your act?
I mean, it was a real conversation, and that's something that we wanted to include in the documentary. Like we have a couple fights in this movie. Like we wanted to include it all, just because like what couple doesn't have these struggles? But we have different struggles. Him being diagnosed with autism while we were filming, while I was pregnant, we wanted to share every aspect and not try and make ourselves look better than we really are. Like, I'm not necessarily proud of every moment that's in this documentary of myself. And it's really interesting to film yourself fighting. Every couple should do that, because you learn a lot. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so right. And then I watch it and I'm like, ooh, I really could have been a lot better in that moment. But in terms of sharing, my stand up and talking about our relationship, it was something for him to adjust to. And I still, of course, I ask him, is this okay? And he's just like, yeah, share it all. But, it takes some adjusting to, having your partner, the next day share intimate details of your marriage. So yeah.
Or beautiful pieces of art that you've drawn of one another.
I'm not going to a museum. That the art, the painting of
Girl,
me,
that needs to be framed up in the house if it isn't already.
it needs to be in the Met. I actually didn't know where it is. Like I, of course, like want it, over our bed. Just but we got to a really great place with it, and he like laughed so hard whenever we watched that part while we were like editing.
I think when things open back up, you guys should make a date night of it. Go out, do a little paint.
Little wine and paint. Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
You do a self-portrait of him, honey.
That's right. I didn't even think of that.
Come on.
I have some ideas. I've got some ideas.
What time in quarantine are you mostly starting to drink right now?
I'm trying to wait till 6, so I have like a preemptive beer at 5.
That's very classy.
I love it. You guys are working so well together, not only in your marriage and as parents now, but you've got Amy Schumer Learns to Cook. You guys are renewed for a second season. So what you going to be whipping up in the kitchen this time, girlfriend?
Oh my God, this season you really learned that I have not learned anything. We we were really excited. We were kind of thinking, if we do get another season, what would we do? So we've been making lists and like highlighting, I'm in charge of the drinks. So of course I've been testing those at home. But it's like an interesting time to have a television show, and it's not, we tape it and then it airs like a month later or something. So it's, it's an interesting time to have a television show, where, we want to highlight everything that's going on, aside from the pandemic. We're also like very involved in the Black Lives Matter movement and moving that forward. And so, it's a weird time to have a TV show, but it's a good opportunity to get to use your voice.
Yeah. And to also just spend extra QT with Chris and with Jean.
Yeah. That is the one silver lining to everything going on, is, getting to spend extra time with my family, which is like, I was supposed to be shooting every day a TV show right now. So I feel lucky. I feel like I have the time to protest, and I feel lucky I have the time to be with my family.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of family, you have been very open about wanting to increase the size of your family. You were open with your grueling IVF treatments and, freezing embryos and things of that sort. And you had a successful run. And again, it's a story that you've wanted to share. So
yeah. Well, I would say, success, it's measured, it's pretty subjective. We got one normal embryo, which, some people would look at that as not successful. We're really excited that we got one, hoping it works. We're going to put, trying to increase our family on hold. Just with everything going on, it like a pandemic to me doesn't feel like the time that I want to be thrusting myself, or anyone else in a medical environment if we can avoid it.
How would you explain to someone to insert a tampon?
Oh my God. Just put it in there.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, you kind of have to, I don't even know.
It's been such a delight chatting with you today, and
Yeah.
also, hearing about your partnership that you've got going on. I just want to kind of end on that note. Can you?
Great.
Because you kind of talked about it again at the beginning, but your partnership you are involved in right now with encouraging women to educate themselves about their bodies.
Well, I mean, I've been pretty open about this for a while, but I just feel like, Tampax and I had the exact same goals in mind, which is to take the shame and all the myths away from women's periods. When we're half the population and we get our periods for however many days we each personally get it a month. And there's so little education about it. And there's so much stigma. We're not supposed to talk about it. And, they only require sex education classes in 29 states. And only 22 of those states require any sort of medical confirmation, in scientific studies. So it's like, and I don't know about you, like my sex ed classes, I didn't leave there knowing how to put a tampon in confidently. And so, I am just really excited to have this opportunity to help educate women and try and just take some of the shame out of our period,